The story of Fatima RA and Ali RA. When we look at the lives of the greatest figures in Islamic history, their stories shine not because of worldly riches or glamorous lifestyles, but because of their unshakable faith, sincerity, and contentment with whatever Allah had decreed for them. Among these shining examples stands the marriage of Fatima bint Muhammad's Ray and Ali ibn Abi Talib's Ray, a marriage shaped not by wealth, luxury, or status, but by simplicity, taqwa, and pure devotion to Allah. Their marriage is not just a historical event, it is a lesson for every Muslim home, every couple, and every young person dreaming of beginning a life with someone they love. It is a reminder that the most blessed marriages are those rooted in righteousness, humility, and trust in Allah, not in extravagant weddings, material comfort, or social expectations. The proposal, a heart of gold, but no wealth. Allah Ray loved Fatima's Ray since youth, but he also knew he had very little to offer materially. When he gathered the courage to approach the Prophet, he came with nothing but a heart filled with sincerity and a deep desire for a righteous marriage. He felt embarrassed that he barely owned anything. The Prophet asked him, "Do you have anything to give as mahr?" Ali replied that he had only his shield. This shows us two things. The Prophet did not demand anything extravagant for his beloved daughter. Ali Ray was not rejected because he was poor. Instead, the Prophet looked at character, faith, and piety. He looked at the heart, not the wealth. Today, many families reject righteous men simply because they do not have a high salary, a big house, or a luxurious car. Yet the Prophet showed us that it is taqwa, not wealth, that determines the success of a marriage. The wedding, simplicity filled with barakah, their wedding was one of the simplest in history. There were no palaces, no expensive dicker, no grand feast, no show. The gifts exchanged were minimal. The furniture in their home could be counted on one hand: a simple mattress stuffed with date, palm fiber, water skin, a grinding mill, a small pillow, a simple blanket. This was the home of the daughter of the Prophet, the leader of humanity. But she chose simplicity over luxury. She valued worship over worldly shine. She understood that a home illuminated by faith is richer than any palace built with gold. And because of that simplicity, Allah placed immense barakah in their household. A house of worship, not luxury. Fatima RA and Ali's RA began their life with little, yet they possessed everything that truly mattered: love for Allah, devotion to the Prophet, commitment to each other, patience and contentment. They worked together, prayed together, and struggled together. Fatima's RA would grind grain until her hands blistered. Ali RA would fetch water until his chest hurt. Their struggles were real, but their hearts were strong. It is in these small, quiet, unseen moments that the beauty of marriage is found. Not in expensive gifts or lavish homes, but in the patience, teamwork, and mercy shared when life is difficult. Barakah comes from taqwa, not money. Modern society tells us that the more money you spend on a wedding, the happier the marriage will be. Islam teaches the opposite. The Prophet said, "The most blessed marriage is the one with the least expenses." This is exactly what Fatima RA and Ali RA lived. Their poverty did not take away their happiness. Instead, it added to their sincerity, their dua, and their closeness to Allah. Barakah is not found in gold jewelry, designer clothing, extravagant dinners, luxurious furniture. Barakah is found in obedience to Allah, kindness to one another, dua made together, halal income, gratitude, humility. That is why their small home became a palace in the sight of Allah. Love rooted in faith, not appearance. Their relationship was built on deep respect and genuine affection. Ali RA once said, "By Allah, I never angered Fatima, and I never forced her to do anything." This was a man who respected, honored, and cherished his wife. Fatima's RA in return loved him with sincerity and supported him through poverty, war, and hardship. Their love was not a show, not a performance for society, but a bond nurtured through faith and mutual sacrifice. This kind of love cannot be purchased with money. It grows only in a home where Allah is remembered and where hearts find comfort in each other. What their marriage teaches us today, their story gives us powerful lessons in a world obsessed with materialism. 1. Choose character over wealth. A righteous spouse is better than a rich one. Wealth disappears, character remains. 2. Start simple. Your first home doesn't need to look like social media. What matters is peace. 3. Work together, Marriage is teamwork, sharing burdens, not shifting them. 4. Keep Allah at the center. When Allah is in your home becomes a garden of tranquility. 5. Don't fear a humble beginning. Many great futures begin with small, humble steps. Fatima RA and Ali IRA began with almost nothing, but produced generations of leaders, scholars, and martyrs. A marriage blessed by the Prophet, the Prophet would often visit their home and make dua for them. May Allah bless your household and your children. His dua became reality. From this simple marriage came Hasan RA and Husayn RA, leaders of the youth of Jannah. Their home became the cradle of courage, knowledge, and spiritual leadership. This is the power of a marriage built on taqwa. Allah elevates such homes even if the world sees them as poor. Conclusion: true wealth is in the heart. The marriage of Fatima's RA and Ali's Rafe teaches us that the true foundation of a blessed marriage is not wealth, luxury, or status. It is sincerity, faith, respect, and simplicity. It is the ability to depend on Allah together and support each other through hardship. The spiritual bond of Fatima's RA and Ali's Ra, the marriage of Fatima's RA and Ali's RA, is one of the most spiritually powerful relationships in Islamic history. It was not merely the union of two individuals, but the meeting of two hearts that beat with a single purpose to serve Allah, support His Messenger and strengthen the foundation of Islam. Their lives teach us that marriage is not only about companionship, comfort, or emotional support, it is also a path to Allah, a means through which two believers help each other rise in their faith and become better servants of the Most Merciful. When a husband and wife are united in worship, sincerity, and sacrifice, their home becomes a sanctuary of guidance and barakah. A marriage rooted in Iman, Fatima RA, the beloved daughter of the Prophet and Ali RA, the cousin and early supporter of the Prophet grew up in the atmosphere of revelation, worship, and sacrifice. Both were molded by the teachings of Islam from a young age. But what made their marriage extraordinary was not only their lineage, it was their mutual dedication to Allah's pleasure. While other families might gather around wealth, entertainment, or worldly pursuits, the hearts of Fatima and Ali were tied to prayer, dhikr, service to the Prophet, a charity, struggle in the path of Allah. Their marriage was built upon spiritual companionship, each encouraging the other, each guiding the other, and each being a source of strength in the journey toward Jannah. Worship the center of their home. Their home was small, simple, and humble, but spiritually, it was one of the most illuminated households in Medina. Fatima's RA and Ali's RA did not treat worship as a duty, but as the heartbeat of their life together. Their nights were spent in prayer. Their mornings began with the remembrance of Allah. Their days revolved around serving the Prophet and supporting the growing Muslim community. This spiritual routine bonded them more deeply than any luxury or comfort ever could. One night, the Prophet came to wake Fatima and Ali for tahajjud, saying, "Will you not pray?" Eli's Arav responded gently, yet felt remorse later for not rising immediately. Even this small moment shows how closely the Prophet nurtured their spiritual growth and how central worship was in their household. Their home was one where Allah was remembered constantly, where dua flowed naturally, and where the focus was not the dunya but the akhirah. Supporting each other in sacrifice, both Fatima's RA and Ali's RA lived lives full of hardship. Yet every struggle they faced brought them closer to each other and to Allah. Fatima RA, she worked tirelessly, grinding grain until her hands blistered fetching water, until her chest hurt cooking, cleaning, and caring for her children, serving her father with endless devotion. Her physical exhaustion never made her bitter or distant from worship. Instead, she maintained a heart filled with gratitude and patience. Ali's RA, he worked as a laborer when he had to fought in every major battle and served Islam with both his mind and his sword. He carried responsibilities on his shoulders from a young age. Despite their poverty, they never allowed hardship to weaken their resolve. Instead, their sacrifices became acts of worship. They helped each other, encouraged each other, and never allowed frustration or blame to enter their marriage when difficulties came. And they came often. They faced them together with tawakkul and humility. Lessons from their spiritual partnership. Their marriage teaches us some deep and powerful lessons. 1. Worship keeps love pure. When Allah is between two people, their hearts remain soft, forgiving, and connected. Fatima's, Rai and Ali's, Rai prayed together, remembered Allah together, and built their home on the foundation of spirituality. 2. Spiritual growth is a shared journey. They pulled each other toward righteousness. If one grew tired, the other encouraged them. If one was sad, the other lifted them with dua and patience. Marriage is at its strongest when both spouses walk the path to Jannah side by side. 3. Serving Islam together strengthens the marriage. Ali Ray fought bravely for Islam. Fatima Ray served the Prophet supported the family, and endured hardship with firmness. They were partners not only in life, but in the mission of Islam itself. 4. Real love isn't shown in comfort, but in sacrifice. They endured hunger, poverty, fear, and exhaustion. Yet their love only grew stronger because it was rooted in sincerity and shared purpose. 5. A spiritually focused home produces generations of leaders. From their home came Hasan Husayn and Hussein Ray, the leaders of the youth of Jannah, as well as Zainab Ray, one of the strongest women in Islamic history. A home built on faith produces children of strength. Service to the Prophet, their greatest honor. Both Fatima RA and Ray dedicated themselves entirely to the Prophet. Fatima RA was known as Abiha, the mother of her father. She cared for him like no one else, defended him, and stood with him through every trial. Allies, RA too was always at the Prophet's side, from his youth in Mecca to the final years in Medina. Their marriage strengthened their ability to serve the Prophet. It was not a distraction from their deen. It amplified their devotion. Their hearts were connected. Through the Quran was recited in their home regularly. Its verses guided their decisions, comforted their hearts, and shaped their character. They did not measure success by wealth or status. Their standard was how close they were to Allah, how much they served Islam, how deeply they lived the teachings of the Quran. The Quran shaped their marriage into one of the most beautiful examples in Islamic history. Conclusion: a marriage that led them to Allah, the marriage of Fatima's, Raif, and Ali's, Ray, is not just a story, it is a blueprint. It teaches us that the strongest marriages are those where two people devote themselves to Allah first and to each other second. Their home had little wealth, but it had worship, sacrifice, gratitude, patience, a love, service to Islam, and that is why Allah placed incredible barakah in their marriage. To this day, their story inspires millions. Their spiritual partnership shows us that when two hearts unite for the sake of Allah, they become unshakable. In this life and in the next. The trials that strengthen the marriage of Fatima's RA and Ali's RA, when we study the lives of Fatima RA and Ali's RA, we quickly realize that their marriage was not surrounded by ease, comfort, or worldly luxury. Rather, it was shaped by poverty, hunger, physical exhaustion, and continuous sacrifice. Yet what makes their story extraordinary is not that they suffered, but how they responded to their hardships with patience, gratitude, and unwavering trust in Allah. Many marriages crumble under pressure, but theirs became stronger with each difficulty. Their love deepened not through comfort, but through shared struggle. They proved that real companionship is not tested when life is easy, but when life becomes heavy. A marriage that began with struggle from the very beginning. Fatima RA and Ali's RA entered their marriage with almost nothing. They had no wealth, no servants, no luxury, no comfort. Their home consisted of a simple mat, a small pillow, and basic household necessities. Instead of complaining, they embraced their new life with humility. They knew that the Prophet himself lived simply, and they were honored to walk the same path. The first days of their marriage were marked by physical labor. There was no concept of your job and my job. They worked together, supported each other, and shared their burdens equally. Hunger that brought them closer. Hunger was a frequent guest in their home. Days would pass when they barely had enough food for themselves or their children. Yet in those moments of need, their faith grew stronger. There is a famous incident where Ali Ray returned home hungry after working, only to find that Fatima's Ray also had nothing to eat. Instead of expressing frustration or disappointment, they turned to Allah and recited Alhamdulillah for everything. This attitude reflects the beauty of their hearts. They chose gratitude over complaint. And because of this, Allah filled their home with tranquility despite the emptiness of their plates. One night, they gave away their only meal to a poor person who knocked on their door. They slept hungry, but their hearts were full. Allah rewarded them by revealing verses in Surah Al-Insan praising those who give food sincerely for His sake. Their hunger produced iman, not bitterness. It created unity, not conflict. Hard work that strengthened their bond. Fatima RA bore the weight of endless physical work. She ground grain until her hands cracked. She carried water until her chest ached. She lit fires until her clothes became covered with soot. Ali's Ray would work outside the home, often doing physically exhausting labor to earn a few dates or coins. He would chop wood, carry water, and take whatever work was available. When he returned home, he saw the fatigue on Fatima's face, and she saw the exhaustion on his. Instead of using their tiredness to blame each other, they used it to support each other. Sometimes Ali's Raid would help with house chores. Sometimes Fatima Rave would help him with his outside tasks. Their relationship was built on cooperation, not division. This is one of the greatest lessons. They teach us a marriage thrives when both partners lighten each other's burdens, not when they argue over who has carried more. The dua of hardship once, Fatima's Raif asked her father A for a servant because her hands were blistered and she was overwhelmed with work. The Prophet A could have given her one, but he offered something better, a gift for life. He taught her the famous tasbih, 33 times Subhanallah, 33 times Alhamdulillah, 34 times Allahu Akbar. He told her that this would bring more peace and strength than the help of a servant. Fatima RA and Ali RA accepted this with humility. They didn't complain. They didn't insist. They didn't feel entitled. They chose spiritual strength over physical ease. This is one of the reasons Allah elevated their status. Hardship did not create distance. It created love. Most relationships weaken under hardship. Fatigue brings resentment. Hunger brings anger. Poverty brings frustration. But their hearts were anchored in Allah, so instead of drifting apart, they came closer. Why? Because they understood three things. One, hardship is a test from Allah. They saw challenges as opportunities for patience, not excuses for arguments. Two, they were partners in the journey, not opponents. They faced the world together, so the world never broke them. Three, their goal was Jannah, not Dunya. Dunya's difficulties felt small compared to the reward awaiting them. Their patience turned pain into strength, struggle into connection, and exhaustion into reward. Suffering with purpose, every hardship they endured served a spiritual purpose. Their poverty purified their hearts. Their hunger increased their reliance on Allah. Their sacrifices elevated their ranks. They understood that Allah does not test those He does not love, and so they welcomed hardship with dignity. They endured their struggles with quiet strength, knowing that the Prophet A lived the same way. In today's world, a minor inconvenience can shake a marriage. A small mistake, a period of financial difficulty, a moment of stress. But Fatima, Raev, and Ali Ray teach us that when both spouses face hardship with patience, trust, and mercy, they grow into a stronger team. Hardship made their love unbreakable. Their love was not built on a gift's wealth, comfort, attraction, luxury. It was built on sacrifice, sincerity, and steadfastness. When Ali's Rav came home tired from battle, Fatima's Ray comforted him. When Fatima's Ray was overwhelmed with housework, Ali's Ray supported her. When they felt hungry, they made dua together. When they had nothing to give, they still gave for the sake of Allah. Their hearts beat with the same rhythm of patience and faith. This is what made their love unbreakable. Conclusion: hardship is a path to true love. The story of Fatima's Raif and Ali Ray teaches us that hardship does not destroy a marriage. It reveals it. It shows what kind of hearts we truly have. Their marriage became extraordinary because they remained patient when life was difficult. They stayed united when things became heavy. They trusted Allah when the world felt tight. They supported each other with mercy, not blame. They saw hardship as a path to reward, not as a punishment. True love is not proven by ease. True love is proven by sabr, loyalty, and faith during hardship. And that is why the marriage of Fatima and Ali remains one of the greatest examples of patient, spiritual companionship in Islamic history. The gentle love of Fatima's Ray and Ali's Ray, if their simplicity taught us humility and their patience taught us strength, then the final and most beautiful lesson of the marriage of Fatima's Ray and Ali Say Ray is this: a blessed home is built on respect, mercy, and gentle love. Theirs was not a home overflowing with wealth or comfort. Rather, it was a home overflowing with kindness, compassion, and mutual honor. In a world where many households fall apart due to ego, harsh words, and lack of gentleness, the household of Fatima RA and Ali RA stands as a shining example of how spouses can love each other with dignity and worship Allah through kindness. Allah RA, a husband who honored his wife Ali RA, is remembered in Islamic history as a lion on the battlefield, brave, fearless, powerful. But inside his home, he was known for gentleness, tenderness, and deep respect. He once said, "By Allah, I never angered Fatima, and I never forced her to do anything. And she never angered me." This single statement reveals the essence of their marriage. No shouting, no harshness, no grudges, no belittling, no emotional harm. Ali's Warave honored Fatima RA, not just because she was the daughter of the Prophet, but because of her piety, her character, and the light she brought into his life. In our homes today, people raise their voices easily. But Ali's Ray reminds us that true strength is not in overpowering someone. It is in honoring them. Fatima's or Ave, the comfort of the Prophet and the light of her home, Fatima Ray was known as Abiha, the mother of her father, because of how deeply she comforted and cared for the Prophet A. That same nurturing, soft, pure nature made her the spiritual heart of her own home as well. She soothed Ali Raya when he was weary, raised her children with gentleness, filled the home with dhikr, carried herself with dignity, modesty, and compassion. Even though she faced exhaustion and hardship, her heart was kind and her character noble. She never used her hardships to wound her husband emotionally, never complained about what they lacked, and never allowed dunya to create bitterness between them. Her presence was comfort. Just as the Prophet said, "Fatima is a part of me." And that part became the center of the home she and Allah's Rare built together. Mercy that defined every interaction, Allah says in the Quran, "And he placed between you love and mercy." Fatima's Rav and Ali's Rav lived this verse with sincerity. Their love was not dramatic or loud. It was calm, quiet, steady. The kind of love that grows from patience, respect, and shared devotion to Allah. Their mercy was seen in small daily moments. Ali's Ray helping with chores, Fatima's Ray comforting him after hardship, sharing what little food they had, forgiving each other quickly, praying together, holding each other's pain gently. These simple acts created a profound bond that dunya could not shake. Their home was a sanctuary, not because they had wealth, but because they had Rama. Never a harsh word between them, despite their struggles. We find no narration of Ali's Ray speaking harshly to Fatima's Rave or Fatima's Rave complaining angrily to Ali's Ray. Their disagreements, if any, were softened by the presence of Allah in their hearts. Ali Ray would often say, "Fatima was the best wife to me," and Fatima Ray would smile whenever Ali's Ra entered the home, for she knew her husband brought comfort, not burden. This mutual gentleness is one of the greatest signs of a blessed marriage. The Prophet A strengthened their home with his love. The Prophet A had immense love for both of them. He would visit their home often, sit with them, make dua for them, and check on their well-being. His dua. Allah blessed their household and their children. This dua became the foundation of their future. The Prophet A knew their home was built on righteousness, so he nourished it with his prayers. Whenever Ali's Ray and Fatima Ray faced difficulty, they would find comfort in the presence and advice of the Prophet. He taught them patience when tired, gratitude when hungry, mercy in marriage, gentleness with each other. Their home was spiritually connected to the heart of the Prophet. 8. Rising the leaders of Jannah, a home built on respect and mercy produces children of greatness. And this was true for their family. From this pure union came Hasan's Ray, gentle, wise, compassionate, resembling the Prophet a leader of reconciliation, Husayn, brave, principled, unshakable, a symbol of sacrifice, the leader of the youth of Jannah, Zainab's brave, strong, patient, eloquent, the voice of Karbala, a woman of courage and honor. Such remarkable children could only be raised in a home where parents loved each other with mercy and lived with taqwa. Their home was not rich in gold, but rich in iman, akhlaq, and love. Respect as a form of Abeda Ali's Ray treated Fatima as Arave with respect because he saw it as obedience to Allah and love for the Prophet. Fatima's Ra'ay honored Ali's Ray because she saw his struggles, sacrifices, and service to Islam. For them, marriage was an act of worship, not a battle of egos. They understood that respect is not optional in a marriage, it is a pillar. A home of both strength and tenderness, their marriage had the perfect balance. Strength in facing difficulties, tenderness in treating each other, firmness in faith, softness in character. Ali RA was courageous outside, gentle inside. Fatima's rave was delicate in nature, powerful in faith. Together, they formed a partnership that the world continues to admire. Conclusion: the power of respect and mercy. The home of Fatima's Raif and Ali's Ray teaches us that a truly blessed marriage is built not on wealth, beauty, or status, but on gentleness, respect, forgiveness, gratitude, mercy. Love for all at their home produced leaders, scholars, and role models because its foundation was pure. It was a home where hearts were safe, where words were kind, where worship was shared, and where love was rooted in faith. Every couple who seeks a peaceful home should look toward the example of Fatima RA and Ali RA. Their marriage shows us that